Hey everybody, Josh Thomas here with the Main Street Business Alliance, and I got Tobin Brogunier, and we're going to talk a little bit about the impact of the hurricane and the storm that's come through the areas of Western North Carolina and some South Carolina and other parts of the Southeast. And there's a couple of things to keep in mind here. I mean, first of all, it definitely has created quite a disruption in some areas. And for those of you who follow Tobin, he posted some before and after pictures of nice little strip malls with some shops in them. And then in the picture that he took a couple of days ago, the entire row has been wiped out and swept down the river. And that is going to have a lasting impact on a lot of people. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today is how much is that impacting other businesses that maybe still are open, and how can we move forward and kind of start to recover and recuperate some of those losses as we move forward as entrepreneurs. And so, Tobin, first, give us a lay of the land about what's been going on, what you've been seeing, what you've been hearing people say.
So, thanks, Josh, for the intro. Our pilot is based in Western North Carolina, so there's a lot of people who've been concerned about my safety. Oddly, it just missed us. It just missed Atlanta, and everything that's really a disaster is just east of us. So, in Asheville, and it's centered in the Asheville area, and then north up towards Tennessee. We're in the very, very western corner of North Carolina, like the west end of West Northern Carolina, and we didn't get hit very hard here. So we have the effects of the disaster in this area, but we do not have we've had communication disruptions. We've had a lot of stores that are taking cash only. But for the most part, the kind of, actual flooding and destruction is about 50 miles east of here for the most part. So it's, I appreciate everyone checking in to see if, how I've been doing. If you do follow me on Facebook, you can see my posts and kind of the explanation about how it headed east a little bit. It was actually right on the path to hit Atlanta, and then we're directly north of Atlanta. So we lucked out because it went off course when it hit landfall. I just read today that it dumped 40 trillion gallons of water.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I wonder how they measured all of that. Like, did they just take out a bunch of gallon milk jugs and like catch it all?
I think so.
And so whether or not you were in the path, obviously there's been a big disruption in commerce in the area for a lot of different reasons. There are bridges out. There are roads that are impassable. There's a strike going on in the ports in the Gulf of Mexico right now. And so we're going into some weird times. And as a small Main Street, rural, local business, these are the guys that are on the front lines, and it's gonna impact them the most. And so what are some things that we can do to really kind of prepare and make sure that we keep our heads above water, not only survive, but thrive?
So one of the things about local business owners that's different than a chain or a corporate store in a situation like this is that when you're hit really hard, you don't have all of the backup. You don't have the ironclad insurance policy that's going to have a payout. You don't have the resources necessarily that behind you that your competition does. And so back in 2020, when we originally developed virtual storefronts, part of the reason that we made it was because corporations were moving online into e-commerce and local businesses were being shut out of the online equation. So just because these disasters happen doesn't mean that local businesses are going to, how to put it, like local businesses still need to show up where their shoppers are, right? Like even more so when there's a disaster, because being online is literally where everyone is after a disaster as well. So there's you want to make use of your resources, and you want to make sure that you can be visible, and you want to kind of localize information. So part of the problem that we have right now with Facebook in general is that, and how Facebook works was a bit of the inspiration behind our project, like the development of the technology, the localized technology, is that in Facebook, you got problems where you have all kinds of information that's kind of global right next to all of the local information. So there's a lot of distraction and not very much focus where people are getting most of their local information. So what we wanted to do was create an app that literally localizes information and blocks out things that are outside of your geography to give you that focused experience, that localized experience. In a situation like this, where we would be, we're not an emergency service, but you would have the ability, and we actually have an app coming out this fall, you would have the ability to find all of those resources locally on our technology. But there's a huge problem basically with how people get information at this point. And these businesses need to be visible no matter what the circumstances online. And if you can't, if the technology, the resources that Silicon Valley is giving us, if those resources aren't really prioritizing those businesses, then you have a whole invisibility problem. Or if you need to hire an expensive agency to do SEO search results, or you need to do some other kind of like dramatic kind of marketing measures that are very expensive, then just to be found online, then it's really detracting from, as a business owner, you just need to reboot and get on with your business. So this is designed, you know what I'm saying? It's like you just want to, like, you don't have time to do all of this digital stuff. You just need that thing to be taken care of. You need to be present and show up in results. And what's not happening with our major platforms is that's not happening. So Facebook,
and it's a good reminder when this storm comes through and like wipes out an entire row of businesses, like literally washed it down the river. And if you're not physically there, if you weren't online either, there's no more trace of your existence at that point.
Totally.
And it's a good kind of metaphor for what happens. Like if I drive to that, I can't remember what it was, but you showed me on your Facebook, there's a picture of this nice little row of shops. And then there's another picture where they're all gone. Like literally the buildings are gone.
Yeah, it's Chimney Rock. Yeah.
Chimney Rock. Okay. And if you go and you're expecting to see this boutique antique shop or whatever, and it's literally not there anymore, what are you going to do as a customer, right? So the same thing happens online. People are going to your street online and they're looking for you. Yeah. And if they don't see you there, they're just going to keep rolling to the next place, or maybe I'll come back. I'll look for this thing another time, when they probably would have walked into your shop and bought right away, because people tend to like, hey, I need it now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to wait like 2 more days. I need to go and buy a pair of jeans now. Yep, exactly. I need to go and get flowers for my mom now. Now is when I'm thinking about it. And this place is in front of me. So we're looking for that convenience. And what better way to remind us than, what's the river in the area? Just sweeping your business right on down to the next place.
that river was the Broad River that was doing it. Yeah. But there was like 3 rivers that overflowed in that area, because that was the major, that was the highest watermark. But the what you're talking about is so virtual storefronts isn't here to like, come in like the National Guard and give everyone water. Like we're not talking about rescuing
virtual water.
Yeah. People do not appreciate virtual water when they're thirsty. It's totally.
So Jennifer, you got a question? Go ahead.
Hold on one second. Are you unmuted?
So, yeah, I'm unmuted. So, are you doing stuff to address, like, when I'm in a disaster area, the different things that I notice are, I don't know which local restaurants are still open, and I know that disaster workers, if they were directed to be told like that this is the list of local restaurants that are open, they would prefer to use them. The Red Cross specifically tells their volunteers that you should spend your money locally on the card that they give them to spend. They give them a spending card and, a certain amount of cash to spend for like feeding themselves at the end of shift and stuff like that. And they're told, try to spend it locally, but like, I've never been to your town before. I don't know what you've got going on. So is Virtual Storefronts able to find those businesses that are that way and direct them directly to the people who are coming from out of town as disaster workers?
Yes, that's a really good point, and a good comment. So that is definitely true of Virtual Storefronts. That, in fact, we actually had a wildfire right next to town here last fall, and the disaster workers needed resources to learn about what businesses they could eat at, because a lot of that information is not online. So we provided them with our app, and they were able to search and find local businesses to eat at, because we have, I think, probably about 80% of the businesses at restaurants that you can eat at are probably on Virtual Storefronts at this point. So yes,
and that's really the idea. Is there's this kind of impulse buy that's going to happen if I go to the Google and I need whatever it is that I type in, and I'm in this location, especially if I don't know the area, especially if I've never been there before. I'm probably going to trust one of the first couple of results that shows up. Oh, that looks good. They've got a picture. Here's the address. Oh, there's a phone number. I can call them right now, see if they're open.
Yeah.
I like going to new places. Burger Basket looks like a nice place to check out. I'll go try that place. It's right here in front of me. And that's really the idea here is, and even for local people who do know the area and they do know your shop, maybe they've been in your shop 100 times, but they forgot that you sold cast iron pans, for instance. What was the story that you were telling me the other day?
So interestingly, on Facebook, marketing is all about like creating crazy viral content. But what marketing is really about in a lot of ways is just reminding people that you're there and you have what they want.
That's right.
So the other problem that you have is that a lot of the technology that people use to connect with local businesses, it's engineered to give you the best in the world, all the information in the world. So Google is a global platform. It's really configured to give you the best taco recipe that ever was made in the entire world, instead of tell you where tacos can be purchased near you. That's what it's designed for. And as opposed to, and then Facebook is kind of a mashup of viral content, right, that they're promoting to you that's global. And then it's your friends and family. And then very low on the tier is just whatever local businesses have to say. And actually, Facebook has a kind of, pay to play racket where if you don't, you have two options: be a viral genius with your content, or your Facebook page for your business doesn't get seen. So it's cluttered. It's just not a very good context. And that was part of the inspiration behind this. And then when you have disasters, which is what's going on now, like COVID, COVID is a good parallel. That's actually when we wrote our business plan. Major corporations have huge numbers of resources for recovery and adaptation, to move into the spaces where their customers are. I remember during COVID, all of a sudden every local big box store had curbside pickup. They installed everything, and they had the resources to do it because they have deep pockets for financing any kind of change like that. Now, your local mom and pop business is, generally speaking, not operating on the same footing digitally. So Virtual Storefronts was conceived to first localize the data so that in the local feeds, which are just announcements of local businesses within towns, it's everything outside of a 5-mile radius isn't included. It's excluded. It's just what's geographically relevant to you. And then anything that you search, it shows the closest business to you that has what you're looking for. So number one, you're going to have localization of the technology. And then number two, you're going to help those local businesses just move into the 21st century marketing space. seamlessly so that they can actually benefit in a similar way or in a competitive space that shares space with Walmart and all of these major deep-pocketed corporations. Whereas before that, they were really just locked out. It's like, go ahead and build your website, $3,000, hire a local SEO marketing agency. All of these requirements, really, of these local businesses that just were too far, like the bar was too high for them. And so what you really need to do is, and what makes me glad that we're here right now for businesses in this area and just in general for businesses that are struggling online, that this startup exists at this point, is that we're actually here so that you can just have a push button solution to solve those problems and then move on with your life and like schedule your workers, order your inventory, handle customers at the register, do your business. And we're what I like to call Main Street's tech department. We're your tech department because you can't have a tech department. And it's not
tech in your marketing department.
yeah, tech and marketing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like people don't have time for this. So right. we're specializing, and we have one job, right? We have one job, which is make sure you pay us. These businesses pay us. It's opt-in. We don't just scrape the internet. You pay us, and our job is to promote you to your local area. Right. Whereas Google, even Google search results, that's a handout. If Google wanted to say everyone's on page 2 unless you pay money to us tomorrow in local search results,
that's kind of where it's gone, really. And just to give some sort of context to this, 10 years ago, you could hire an expensive marketing agency and have them do a whole bunch of work, and they would get you pumped up and put you on the top of the search results. But in the last 10 years, that space has been replaced with paid ads, Google Maps listings, and AI now occupies about a quarter of the screen whenever you do a search. It's just they're gonna search for you, and they're gonna say, well, here's what we think the best answer is. Just like you were saying earlier, the best taco in the world. Well, AI is aggregating all of this information and saying, well, we think that this is probably what you're looking for. Don't worry about looking at all these other results. Like, that's literally taking up that, and then ads, and then maps is you're scrolling at least 3 times before you see any organic result in most situations.
It's
and it's not going to get any better because that's how they make money. But how they keep their customers, on the other hand, is through providing relevant local results that are scratching the itch that the customer has right now. That's how they keep their customers. So they have to keep a balance between, I want to keep my customer happy, and I want to keep the people who pay us happy by giving them a lot of leads. And so virtual storefronts seems to kind of like wedge its way into the middle, because you've got this magical grace period outside of the big cities and in most more rural areas where we can just do the basics to get you ranked really high, because there's not a whole lot of ads going on. There's not a whole lot of AI happening in the rural areas for local searches.
Well, there's what we like to do is so the other competitor that you have there in the top of the search results, what you just described is exactly the problem. There's a lot of sponsored ads. There's just a huge amount of stuff that's being paid for that's kind of disrupting your experience. But on top of that, Walmart has engineered search results for the iron skillet locally, or Applebee's has made sure that when you Google chicken wings, that Applebee's is the #1 organic search result. So you're competing against their own SEO optimization locally. So these corporations are doing local SEO optimization that you're in direct competition with. So what we're looking to do is we are doing local SEO optimization for the little guy who doesn't have, $10 million to dump on their website this month, so that that they can show up above Applebee's for chicken wings, as opposed.
Hey, who you calling little guy? I'm just corporate challenged, okay?
Right. There you go. Well, if you don't have your own like marketing and tech department, I guess you're fully corporate.
So Tobin, just talk really quickly. So Jen, thanks for being on, by the way. We're gonna share this with anybody who is curious about finding ways to recover and thrive after the storm here. Where can somebody go just to learn more about this and see if it even makes sense for them?
So you can go to our .co. Well, first of all, if you just Google virtual storefronts, the #1 search result is the page that has information about virtual storefronts. So just Google the words virtual storefronts. First search result will tell you all about it. That's actually at virtualstorefronts.co. That's the .co address for us. And in not too much time, there's going to be an Anabot there that'll answer all of your questions about virtual storefronts. We're getting our AI assistant, and you will be able to type in your questions and get a lot of stuff answered even before you've, just on your first visit. You can also send any questions you want for this show because we're doing workshops each week. So if you have questions, you can drop it into our Facebook group, the Virtual Storefronts Facebook group, or you can just join us on the show, like Jennifer has.
Yeah, we're growing this thing, right? So it's a Main Street Business Alliance. It's just a weekly half-hour meeting where we're going to be talking about the state of business and things that we can do easily and quickly without a lot of effort and expense to grow our businesses and help each other thrive. And so we'd love to have 100 people on here a week, but the first few times is always a little bit awkward and we got to get the right people in there. And so actually the last time we did this, we had one person. So we're going to keep doing this because
Josh, you and I are also people. So actually that's
well, I mean, yeah, but
you mean real people.
We don't count because you're paying me to be your friend. So I'm just kidding.
Wait, actually,
I'm just kidding. He doesn't pay me. Yeah. So virtualstorefronts.co.
Would you be friendlier, or
if you do, I'll be much friendlier to you. Okay, I'll compliment your glasses more. Awesome. So virtualstorefronts.co. We meet every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Tell your friends if you're watching this, if you enjoyed it, if you got something out of it. Bring a topic, ask a question. Let's talk about ways that we can help Main Street businesses, rural, local businesses in local areas really survive and thrive in this kind of trying economy going into an election year and in 2025, all kinds of reasons to run for the hills, gloom and doom. But man, if we buckle down and we work together on this, we're going to be great.
Cool. Thank you for coming, Jennifer and Josh. Always good to see you. Next week we will continue this conversation.
You got it. All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone.